If you're not streaming, you gotta keep dreaming. That's what I've always said since just now, since I just started saying that. I've always said that for the last 10 seconds. Guys, welcome. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle. I'm here to be your friend. To be the guy that you have on in the background. Everybody needs a guy. Or a lady. Or a non-binary person that they can listen to. And I'll be your guy. I'll be yours. On in the background. Let me know how the music's sounding. It is kind of in the background. I'm trying a new thing. I'm actually streaming it through the stream instead of just having it go into the mic when I'm talking. But I'll tell you. Look at me. I'm live on all the things. How about it? Welcome, everybody. Oh, wait. Hi. I watched Hamilton. Have you watched Hamilton? If you haven't, you're not American. You gotta watch Hamilton to understand what's going on in America 200 years ago. However, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Hamilton, and we'll touch on that. We'll talk about that. I'll give you my opinion on that. I'll let you know how I feel about that. I don't necessarily feel too controversial about it as a person of color. Obviously, Hamilton is the retelling of Alexander Hamilton's story. A statesman from way back when. I really like Hamilton. This is Melissa over there on Twitter. I really like Hamilton. I just don't like seeing the theater kids happy. Yes, Melissa. I was having that same discussion earlier today. I was like, you know what? Hamilton. You know, it's a musical. Let me tell you my history with musicals. I've been in several musicals. I don't know. Hey, everybody on Twitch. What's up? So I grew up liking music. I was in a musical on a dare, my first one, because someone was like, if you think it's so dumb, why don't you try it? And I was like, sure, why not? It seems pretty easy. You just got to put a bunch of jazz hands all over everything. You've got to go like this. You have to end every sentence like this if you want to be in a musical. Am I right, Veronica? Hey, AV Kid. Angelo agrees with Chew, Melissa. But I got to tell you, sometimes, every now and then, this was my beef with musicals when I was a kid. I was in them, right? And they force us to go, like, at the assembly to go watch what the kids were doing, the theater kids. And I was like, hey, free period. We get to go sit in the audience and go watch the kids, what they're up to after school before they get ready for their show. So they do, like, a lot of warm-up day shows about a week before the show comes out so they could sell tickets so you could go see the show. So, you know, you go to the assembly. Angie, let me know how the music sounds if you can hear it at all over there on YouTube. You'd go to the assembly. I'm talking about Bayshore High School. And then you'd see the kids and they'd go like this. I think I saw 42nd Street was the one in high school that made me go, this looks dumb and easy. But I don't know, maybe that's the bug that bites you. Maybe you see a bunch of kids doing it poorly and you say, well, I can do that. Obviously. Okay, cool. So it's funny. When I was a kid, I went to the assembly, and then the kids would go like this. 42nd Street. And then they would tap dance. And then they go like this. Every sentence ended like this. Like, give me a sentence. I'll read any sentence. I'll read what Ange said. Hey, y'all. As an AV kid, I agree. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. I think the kids, they just wanted to do this a lot. A lot of jazz hands. Functional, operational jazz hands in the wild. And I was watching that going, this looks like little kids. What are these kids doing? They're singing these songs. They're doing these things. And so someone was like, well, if you think it's so dumb, why don't you go and try? Why don't you go and try out? That was, I remember it was Megan and Stacy said that. And probably Judy. And they were like, well, why don't you do it? If you think it's so easy. And I did, and I sucked at it. But I did get into the chorus, because they needed dudes. They needed guys to be in the musical, which we did was Hello Dolly. But then I learned how to do jazz hands. And then next thing you know, I'm like this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this all day. And then I did another one, then I did another one, I did another one. But the problem I had when we'd go get our makeup put on, you got to get there like hours and hours early. I was like, what? The show isn't until 8. Why do I got to get here at 4 p.m.? I had to put makeup on a whole cast of kids. That's why. And so they were putting makeup on me, and then the kids would like dance around. This is when they had like the CD player boombox, you know? And they would sit there and they would dance around it singing like Cats, songs from Cats and stuff, and Phantom of the Opera. They'd be like, listen to the music of the night. And I'd sit there going, no, this is the 90s, guys. I'm going to give it away. I'm going to blow up my spot. This was the 90s, and I was like, you guys know there's like really good music out there, right? You guys don't have to listen to this. You don't have to listen to Phantom of the Opera. You're not relegated to this. There's like really good bands. Soundgarden, Radiohead. Okay, I was being a little bit snippy and catty, but I was genuinely surprised that people actually enjoyed the music of musicals. I didn't know that was the thing you could do. I didn't know people actually enjoyed the music part. I thought they just went for the singing and the dancing and the tapping and the jazz hands. But no, people like the music, too. I just thought musicals were something you were subjected to during 4th period. Hey, Jimmy James Cordova, how do you like it? How do you like musicals? Let's talk about musicals today. I watched Hamilton. So then, my history with musicals is a tenuous one. I don't necessarily love a musical. All right, they kind of give me the heebie-jeebies. When people just start breaking out into song and dance right in front of me for no good reason, I get alarmed. I get my hackles up. I'm ready to fight. I don't know. Hey, wait. Whoa, what's going on? Everybody's tap. Is this a flash mob? I get worried. But turns out that the music can actually be pretty good sometimes. If it's a movie, I think that's what Lin-Manuel Miranda was like. You know, there's all these musicals and the songs suck. Maybe there's one or two, but hey, I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda. I did In the Heights. It was a hip-hop musical. Why don't I take American history and juxtapose it against the backdrop of people of color and hip-hop and rap? Just to give people a shock, I think. Also, to show that I think, demonstrably, the idea of the United States is one that should be celebrated for the idea. You get what I'm saying? We should celebrate the ideas of the United States, and then put any face on it, because this is a nation of ideas and laws. And maybe formed imperfectly. Maybe continues to be imperfect. But we do what we can do. Hope you guys had a interesting 4th of July weekend. I think we should just switch it over to Juneteenth, and that should be the big holiday. Juneteenth. Jimmy James Cordova says he's not a big fan, but Tim Burton is pretty good with them, so I'm guessing Tim Burton musical. Tim Burton did The Nightmare Before Christmas, or at least he produced it. I don't think he directed it. Danny Elfman is in that. Maybe Danny Elfman directed. He did the music for sure. Danny Elfman is the voice of Jack Skellington and sings. However, guys, let me figure this out. What is The Nightmare Before Christmas? Is it a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie? I can't figure it out. because people like to start watching it during Halloween, all the way from Halloween to Christmas. But then if you start watching it before Halloween, you're already celebrating Christmas, not Halloween. But then if you watch it after Halloween, before Christmas, then you're like, but Halloween was last week. Why am I watching The Nightmare Before Christmas when this is so Halloween-y? You know what I'm saying? I think people really need to decide. Danny Elfman is great. Danny Elfman is an excellent composer. He's from the band Oingo Boingo. I talked about him last week on my episode of Aristotle Full Throttle about music film composers who are also rock musicians or who also rock on many levels. Tell me how that sound is, if it's getting distracting at all. I'm just trying something new here. Let me see. I'm also going to try a sound effect. Did you guys hear that? Alright, I'm not going to do that anymore. Halloween, because it comes out during Halloween, but they're celebrating Christmas. It's Nightmare Before Christmas. There's Santa Claus is in that movie. I get mixed messages from that movie. Guys, welcome. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. I appreciate you joining me every day at noon. This week I'm going to go to the beach, though. At one of these days, so I'll let you know. I'll give you a heads up the day before. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on Mediocre Films Twitchcast, so check out that Twitch live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be on that show with my friend Greg Benson, and he and I will be talking with one another about various things, and I hope you could join me and him and us on that. Should be fun. All right, Angelo. Definitively, you could watch it on any holiday. It's just arbitrary anyway. Am I right? That's what I like. You know, ever notice how Shane Black makes movies that take place during Christmas usually? I noticed that. Every movie that Shane Black has written pretty much takes place around Christmas. Iron Man 3, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Lethal Weapon. All of them, pretty much. It's smart because get this. If you have a movie that it's heavily Christmas themed, it gets played every year and you get royalties every year during Christmas. This is a true fact. I had the privilege and honor of being offered record deals, a major label record deal from the major label Virgin Capitol Records, and in their contract, you have to write a Christmas song for every album. For every album that they fund, that they pay for, the recordings, you have to write a Christmas song. It's part of it. Guys, you think rock stars are just rock stars and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be a rock star. I don't know how Radiohead has been doing it, but I think Radiohead did, in fact, come out with a Christmas song. But it's up to the label's discretion whether or not to put out that Christmas song. So you could just fudge it and just write the worst Christmas song you want. And then the label can decide whether or not to put it out. So if you don't want to ruin your cred as a band, you probably just bang on some pot and pans and make up a song and say, look, that's our Christmas song. With Coldplay on 60 Minutes. And Chris Martin was going around talking about how they write their songs and what they do. And he was showing their rehearsal studio. And he's like, oh, and there's a song I'm working on. It's just a Christmas song. It's just a Christmas idea I came up with. And I was like, no, Chris Martin, you were contractually obligated to come up with a Christmas song. I know that. Because I've seen Capitol Records in their contracts. So yeah, Chris Martin. Trying to play it off like you just coming up with a Christmas song on your own. Yeah, right. You ain't doing that. You writing that song for the record label because they told you to. But that's why, you know, every band, at least on Capitol Records, has to write a Christmas song. And there's a reason for that, because there's this dude, Jason Flom, and I don't care, I'll talk about Jason Flom. He's got like the #1 podcast in the world now. He used to be the CEO of Virgin Records. So I've had meetings with this guy, and he's an interesting guy. He does a really great thing, though, now. He works for the Innocence Project, and his podcast is all about getting people who are innocent, who are on death row, freed and exonerated. So that is a good thing that he's dedicated his life to. But at the time I met him, he was more like, I'm a CEO and I go play golf in Scotland and I'll be back someday. But Jason Flom was like telling us that he discovered the Trans-Siberian Orchestra among other bands like Stone Temple Pilots. This guy discovered those bands and it was like, I discovered Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I noticed that they had a hit song that was a Christmas song, and then I signed them and said, just make Christmas music. And then he made like a fortune on the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. How about that, guys? Giving you some stories, giving you some insight to the music business, giving you some background on Jason Flom. Jason Flom was hilarious, though. He offered us a record deal. Not for this song, goddammit. We never recorded this song. It's terrible. Guys. That's not that bad. What other movie musicals did you watch? I've watched Moulin Rouge, much to the chagrin of myself. I was finally forced to finish Moulin Rouge about last year. I think I finished it. And, you know, it's a movie. It sure is a movie and things happen in it. And then there's tuberculosis. And then it's over. I didn't really love that movie. It was just like, I had an aneurysm watching it. I had a nosebleed. It's okay. It's okay. If you like those kinds of things, if you want like Nirvana being turned into a cabaret type of song, then you got your man in Baz Luhrmann. He'll make you a movie just like that. He'll dress up his movie. He's coming out with a new Elvis biopic. So I'm interested. Biopic, I don't know how you say it. I'm interested in seeing that. I'm interested in seeing what he does. I wonder if he interweaves Elvis's career as a movie musical and incorporates anachronistic modern songs into it. Speaking of modernity, hey Judy, I was just talking about Hamilton earlier, and I'm enjoying that. I watched it a couple times. Well, I watched it like 1.5 times because I watched the first act on Saturday night, and then I re-watched it from the beginning last night and finished it. And I'll tell you, it's got a couple showstoppers in there. That's a good show. There's some entertainment. If you can take all the jazz hands, if you could take all the I don't know if they do like tap ball change or whatever, flap ball change. I don't know if they do any of that. I couldn't do any of that in high school. They used to put like people in front of me because I couldn't dance. They would put people in front of me going like this, and I would just do my jazz hands. I discussed jazz hands at length at the beginning of the show. If you want to learn more about jazz hands, rewind to the beginning. However, yeah, I couldn't do it. So they just made it. They were like, "This guy's tall. Let's just put people in front of him. Make sure people can't see what's going on. Make it look like he's doing the dancing." Couldn't sing either. Can't do any of the singing or the dancing that is required for musicals. But you know, sometimes, a lot of times, these musicals are like you end up with a. Maybe that's why I go easy on Russell Crowe in Les Mis, the movie musical of Les Mis, because he's like, I am Jean Valjean, or whatever his name is in that movie. He's not Jean Valjean. He's Kevin. His people make fun of his singing, but I'm like, come on now. Listen, the musicals themselves, like Les Mis, they're saying things, but in melody the whole time. They're not really singing songs. Sometimes they are. I mean, there are sequences that are songs, but there are a lot of parts that join scenes together that are just people talking in melody. And you're like, all right, come on. You got lazy. However, Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote songs and beats and flows and verses for his entire Hamilton, which I found... Yeah, he was Javert. I am Javert. I liked in Hamilton that George Washington comes out and says, I am the very model of a modern major general, which is a nod. It's a nod to the Pirates of Penzance, which is another musical. It was pretty neat. So there's a really cool incorporating American history into the modernity using hip-hop and what America looks like now, which is a mosaic. People want to say melting pot, but I think mosaic is that's the Canadian way anyway. People have to realize that America is a mosaic, because the idea of a melting pot is that we're all the same. We don't see color. Everything is European culture. Let's be European. It's okay. It's like, well, maybe not. Maybe we're a mosaic. Maybe we're like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's go over here for some of this now. Let's go over there for some of that. Veronica says, I was in the musical Godspell, and to keep from getting screamed at all summer, I let the teacher know you were my brother. I was the only... Oh, well, screamed out the entire... He was the only one that didn't get screamed out that entire summer. All right, well, cool. You've got Aristotle immunity. Well, that's good. Because you knew that I would... Because that... I think you're talking about Mr. D. I would... Because I'm giant. I'm a giant man. He's a very little man, Mr. D. I'll call him. Maybe that's why. That guy is abusive. I'm going to say it. He's an abusive person. He uses abusive behavior. But, you know, puts on good shows. He's kind of like Joe Jackson from the Jackson 5, right? Come on, it's a little bit dark, but listen... Joe Jackson, an evil, very angry man, very abusive individual, beat those kids, but, you know, Jackson 5 was pretty good, though. It's two things can exist at the same time. That's the message we try to tell here. Talented kids. It's sad. But, though, could you imagine a world without the Jackson 5? Probably be better, because Michael Jackson, you know, how he turned out, but... You know, abuse. You know, Jacksons would not exist were it not for the amazing ability for abuse to actually modify people's behavior. You know, that's one tactic. That's one way of doing it. The other way is a good, but probably better. Yeah. You ever see the movie Whiplash? Chicago. I still haven't seen the movie musical Chicago. However, it won Best Picture in 2002. I still haven't watched it. It looks good. I don't know if it looks good or not. I can't tell. You can't. This is the problem with the musical. This is the musical paradox. You can't tell if a musical is good or not. There's no way of telling. There's no way of knowing, because it's kind of, you have to go along for the experience. Because every commercial for Cats, when I was growing up in New York, every commercial I was like, what the hell is this garbage? And then I saw the movie Cats earlier this year, and I was like, what the hell is this garbage? Sat there for the whole thing, just like trying to figure out how this came to be. How it even is a thing. Why is it even? But I just remember seeing the bunch of people in leg warmers and full body. You're like, okay, all right, okay. And then they get lifted up to the sky. And that was the commercial, and it was like, Cats at the Winter Garden Theater. You know what's interesting about the music from Cats? That theme that recurs, that kind of annoying dun 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 dun. You know what I'm talking about, right? The theme from Cats, that I can't play it for you. I'm gonna have to sing it to you in my terrible voice, because if I play it for you, then YouTube and Twitch are like, you can't do that. You can't do that with your little show. But the way the music, that's actually an auditory illusion. I think. I'm going to go out on a limb. There's auditory illusions where you listen to them and it sounds like they're pitching up and pitching down at the same time. So when I was listening to that, it was Andrew Lloyd Webber. That's how they would always announce it every year. Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. And then it's like dun 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 dun. There's two melody lines. One's going up and one's going down in that. I noticed this when I was watching the movie. This is maybe a musical geek thing. Will, where are you? But it descends. It's like like there's another line that goes up, so it constantly does that and keeps flipping, so that it sounds like it's going up and down at the same time, which is counterpuntal. You're welcome. You know, if you are on fourth down, you want a counterpunt. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. French Choctaw Black Mosaic over here. Angelo from New Orleans. Chicago was a big deal when I was in high school. It was okay at best. You know, Chicago, interesting, because you are from New Orleans, Angie, and you know this better than anyone. Chicago and New Orleans, opposite ends of, I guess, the Mississippi, if we look at the rivers. On that river, up and down the rivers, going back and forth between those cities about 100 years ago, they were inventing jazz. The musicians from New Orleans and the musicians from Chicago. They were going up and down the riverboats, playing ragtime music from the South and the different types of swing styles from the North, and they created jazz. They invented it between your city and Chicago. Pretty neat stuff. The musicians in New Orleans, there's a lot of brass instruments that you'll hear that, and they've incorporated in the style of like the ragtime and that kind of music down there. They've incorporated the style on account of the fact that it is so humid in New Orleans on the Delta that it's so humid that your instrument will detune. It will go out of pitch while you're playing it. So it'll go like, so it'll detune, it'll be slightly off pitch, off kilter. So that's actually included in the styles of music that are played in the South. I love music, ladies and gentlemen. I love music history. I love American music history. I love music. And the fact that those blue notes and those kind of wobbly notes and those slightly out of tune kind of notes that are being played on the trumpets and the trombones is incorporated because of the humidity, because of the humidity factor in New Orleans. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty neat. Sometimes you got to work with what you got, and that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you end up in a humid area playing music, and you got to incorporate that into your style because that's what you got to work with. That's what it's all about, working with what you got. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle. Every day at noon we talk about movies. Today we're talking about movie musicals. And if you want to support this channel on Twitch, you could tip on Twitch now. I got this whole thing set up now. It's crazy. If you feel like throwing me you want me to do a little tap dance, you know, I'll create like tiers. If you want jazz hands, that's $1. If you want me to do like a full-on Charleston dance, you have to tip big, because it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna be pretty, I'll tell you that. It's raining hot bath water here right now. Oh wow, I'll bet you it's raining. That's what I miss about back east. At least when it was humid, the rain would be warm. In Los Angeles, it doesn't really rain. It's always the same. Sunny, blue skies. Very funny scene in the movie LA Story where Steve Martin plays a weather forecaster, a meteorologist, and he takes the week off. So he pre-records the forecast because it's LA and it's going to be sunny, sun, all over the map, sun. And he figures he can pre-record the forecast, and then unexpectedly a rainstorm comes in, and I think he's fired from his job because he predicts the weather the wrong way. They're like, you can't predict. You're a jerk for predicting the wrong weather. It rained, and people in LA don't know how to drive in the rain. It's a true thing. It's a struggle. It's real. People here cannot drive in the rain. Back east, we drive in the snow. We drive in the rain. My mom sent me a video of how hard it was raining the other day, and they were just driving down it. They were driving through the storm. But here, they would just, they'd be going like 2 miles per hour. Like, oh no, there's rain. People have to realize their tires are literally built to go the speed limit, because in the rain, like they have like the water, the treads on the tires. Anyway, people just got to realize that sometimes we don't understand the use of a thing. You ever find out a new use for a thing? Like, for instance, when you get a can of soda and you open up the soda, and then there's that little tab. Like, you could put your straw through the hole in the tab to keep your straw from coming up out of the soda can. If you're still using straws, you wasteful jerk, you bring your own straw to your own soda can. But it keeps the straw in the soda can. There's certain like new uses for things. Your tires, the treads on your tires, wick water away from the center, so you can actually maintain the speed limit while it's raining. That's what they're built for. But people go, water falling from the sky. I don't know how to deal with that. That's okay. That's okay too. Guys, can you hear the music in the background? Probably not. Wow, I haven't been in New Orleans in a while. Hey, Von Blues, Mammy, I can't say all of those letters. So, I do like an elegant screen name. Sometimes I wonder what goes into creating some of these screen names. Chris Sarandon is the voice of Jack. Danny is the singing voice. Oh, that's right. That's always interesting. Angie points out that Chris Sarandon is the voice of Jack Skellington and Danny Elfman is the singing voice. I find that interesting because they often do that in Disney musicals too. Moana, being my favorite Disney musical, also Lin-Manuel Miranda. They often use another singer to do the singing voice versus the acting talking voice. Because like I said last week, a lot of us musicians think we can be actors and a lot of actors think they can be musicians. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes you can't be Barbra Streisand. Sometimes you just can't be Jennifer Hudson. I'm telling you. You can't be all that. That's called being all that and a bag of chips. We've matched Moana. You've watched Moana that many times. That is like 15 to the power of 27 right there. You just give me. I'll tell you, Moana is so fun. It's so enjoyable. I love it. You're welcome. See, if I couldn't sing and The Rock couldn't sing, that makes me feel better about my performing in high school and musicals. What can I say except you're welcome? He's kind of just shouting it. You're welcome. I love it. Moana is so good. Yes, we're feeling Moana right now, guys. How good is? Remember, he keeps throwing her in the ocean, and the ocean keeps throwing her back on the raft. It's so funny. And the chicken, he's so dumb. The chicken is an idiot, but we love him. And we also like Maui. Maui has like a problem half the movie. But then he learns that it was inside him the whole time. That's what you always learn in movies. It was inside you the whole time. What you were looking for this whole movie has been right beside you or inside you. Here's a new hook. Remember the island? What's the island's name again? I like to say that. Frozen. Yeah, I didn't... Frozen was like, yeah, Te-Fiti, the heart of Te-Fiti. Frozen, come on. I was just like, Frozen, whatever. Frozen. Come on with the Frozen. Get out of here with your Frozen. I want more of this snowman, but the snowman just shows up like halfway through it. There's like a little bit of the snowman. You sold me on the snowman and Frozen, and I didn't hardly get no snowman. You just got let it go. Idina Menzel, though. Good. Real good singer. Motunui. You have to get the heart of Te-Fiti back to Motunui. Such a good movie. I like that movie a lot. I gave it, that was the first movie on my channel. If you go to AristotleFullThrottle.com and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember YouTube? It used to be a thing that people did. You could go there and subscribe and watch my review of Moana. That was the first movie that Aristotle Full Throttle, that's me. It's also like the name of the channel. I'm not talking like Donald Trump talks about himself in the third person. That would be freaking weird. That was the first movie that I gave 5 froze out of 5 because I just enjoyed it so much and I was happy the whole time and I could watch it anytime. You know, I'm going to put it on right after this. It's because I'm on a Lin-Manuel Miranda vibe. I might watch even, hey, I may even watch Mary Poppins Part 2, but I hear it's not that good. A Goofy movie is your jam. Everybody's talking about the Goofy movie. Maybe I'll check it out. You know what I loved as a kid? The only musicals I loved as a kid were, I think, the ones that were more modern. I liked Little Shop of Horrors. I thought it was funny. It had Rick Moranis, John Candy. It had Steve Martin, Bill Murray. Come on. Look at that cast. So funny. They were also very good in that movie. And it had Gina from The Martin Show and also her friend from The Martin Show. Remember that? This is going way back. The cast of Little Shop of Horrors. 2 of the 3 background singing girls who were like, a total eclipse of the sun. That whole part. You guys know what I'm talking about? Also, Ellen Green is in that movie. That part, the 2 women from that, 2 of the 3 women from that background singers were on the show Martin, with Gina and her best friend. I noticed that as a kid because I was like, I like that movie and I like the show Martin. I was watching videos of him singing You're Welcome this morning. Young daughter asking her if is Maui. Yeah, yeah. That video. Judy's talking about the video of The Rock singing every line to his daughter. Well, she's like, I want to watch Moana. And he's singing every line to his part perfectly because obviously he is Maui. So he's singing it to his daughter. How cool is that if your dad is Maui? And you're 2. Yeah, Little Shop of Horror was good. Little Shop of Horrors is coming out again. They're doing a remake. They're doing a remake of Little Shop of Horrors, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know if they're going to get Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis retired. He's not around anymore. He had a tragedy about 20 years ago. His wife died. So then he's like, I'm going to be a dad full time. And then he just became a dad full time for about 15 years. And he's here and there now. He came out with a couple comedy albums of music. But he retired from being a legend. Canadian legend. Rick Moranis. He's got such a funny look. Half of his comedy is just the way he kind of holds himself. Because he doesn't really look like he does in real life as he does in the movies. Because he just really puts the glasses on and plays into his physicality. And presents an image of like a super dork. But that's like his appeal. But he doesn't, I mean, it's just the way he chooses to carry himself in those roles. Like he was in Ghostbusters. John Candy was originally offered the role of Louis Tully in Ghostbusters, the part that Rick Moranis plays, but John Candy wanted to play him like just totally really big, and he wanted to have him like have these 2 giant German shepherds, or it was this whole thing John Candy wanted to do, and Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters, was like, no. So then they called up Rick Moranis, and Rick Moranis kind of nailed it with his whole interpretation of the Louis Tully role. Sometimes you get a role, and you got to turn it into something. Talented actors can really breathe a life into whatever it is they're doing and make it real. The interesting thing about musicals is to be able to convey all those emotions. Like when you have the singing voice versus the actor. Sometimes when you're watching a musical, sometimes someone's a way better singer than they are an actor. And you're like, wow, their voice is angelic. Just keep singing songs. Stop acting. Barney Rubble. Your favorite Barney Rubble is Rick Moranis. Yeah, I can see that. I could see him being someone's favorite Barney Rubble. He's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good. Pretty good guy. Pretty good actor. But, got some of this music playing in the background. I'm trying a new thing today. Can do this. Fascinating. I can do that. Now, I don't know if you heard that. Let me know if you heard that. This is like a two-way street here. We're experimenting, figuring out how to make this work. Let me skip this song. It's annoying. It's annoying me. Get out of here, song. Little Shop of Horrors. I'm interested in seeing that. I mean, what do you do when you remake a musical? When there's a musical that exists, are you just gonna redo all of the songs again and just redo all of the sets? Or are you gonna add a song? Sometimes people, when they do a reinterpretation of a musical, they add songs to it. I think they added a song in Cats. I mean, there's no way of knowing. There's no way of telling in that movie. I watched Cats, ladies and gentlemen. I watched it in the movie theater. I went to see it. I paid money to go see Cats. Now, consider this fact. It's very strange. I wonder how I survived that, but it was interesting. It was I didn't like it. I didn't not like it. I didn't hate it. I had no strong feelings towards whatsoever. However, the movie ends like 20 times. Apparently, there's like the ending of the movie when you have the main cat, played by Judi Dench, in the movie Cats. Supposedly, there's like this big musical number that happens, but she doesn't sing it because sometimes, like I said, sometimes good actors aren't the best singers, and vice versa. And you know, the inverse of that. She just speaks the end of the movie like 12 times. I was waiting for the movie to end, and she's like, a cat is a cat, and that is that, and cats don't wear hats unless they wear socks, and cats are cats. The end. And cats also like to drink milk. There are cats everywhere. Just remember that a cat is a cat, and it's not a dog. And that is that. Cats, I tell you, will live forever. They're furry and small, and they have some whiskers. They can hear very far, and their eyes are attuned to dark night vision. They have very reflective retinas. Their eyes are slits because it helps with hunting and triangulating your prey. And that is that. Cats. And that's how the ending went. For like, the ending of Cats was, it felt like it was half the movie. And then Idris Elba shows up for no reason. He's like, I'm Idris Elba. I'm Idris Elba. Idris Elba. I can probably do his voice. It's very deep and gravelly. Idris Elba. Sounds like a condition. I got Idris Elba. Just rub some tussin on it. Is the music too loud? I like this song called Dance Off by Macklemore, and it's got Idris Elba in it. I challenge you to a dance off. Dance off. Dance off. It's really good. It's really good in that it's so deliberately just trying to get people to dance off. It's like the chicken dance. It's like the electric slide. Every few years there's got to be a song that everyone has to play at a party, and then everybody has to participate in. This is what human culture dictates. And I'm just trying to figure it all out. That's what we're here doing. There's the electric slide. There's line dancing. People like to go line dancing. People are like, I can't really dance, but if someone shows me a very specific set of moves that everyone else is doing at the same time, I'm comfortable with that. Self-expression is maybe not something everyone wants. This is what I'm learning in life. Not everybody wants the same thing. You don't have to want the same thing. Everyone's different. But you know what we want in America? That's usually the same thing. Liberty. Liberté. As they say in French Canada. We want liberty. We want freedom. We want to live under a fig tree. Like George Washington sings in Hamilton. Everybody wants that. You know what it made me think of though, Ange? When George Washington in Hamilton is singing about everybody gets to sit under their fig tree and have their own thing, I was thinking of Thanos. I was thinking of Thanos and his plan to create a new universe where everybody was happy and he could go live on his farm forever after he killed half the universe. His version wasn't as good as, say, George Washington wanting to free off See? Ange, you like the dance-off song, right? I challenge you to a dance-off. His voice is so resonant. It sounds like it should be a Halloween song. It sounds like something you should play during... It should supplant Thriller. Even though Thriller was... Thriller is straight fire, though. He did Thriller. Michael Jackson did Thriller. We gotta let that go now. We gotta let all that go. It's hard. It's hard to let that go. It's hard to let bad go. Man in the Mirror? He wasn't looking in the man in the mirror. He wasn't asking him to change his ways. Maybe he was, but he didn't. That Michael Jackson. Good golly. Oof. I almost want to throw up. That should not be the feeling that you get when you think of Michael Jackson, but it is. Yeah, that song is pretty. The dance-off song is good. You're gonna listen to it later. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. I challenge you to a dance-off. Macklemore. Starring. The song is starring an actor. When has that ever happened? Actors just showing up in songs. And you could tell that Idris Elba can't sing, so maybe he can, I don't know. He was in Cats, I still couldn't tell you. He does a whole dance number and song and dance number with Taylor Swift. I still can't tell you if Idris Elba can dance or sing. I can't tell you what happened in that movie. If you asked me to give a synopsis of Cats, I'd be like, cats are not dogs. That's what I learned. They're jellical. They're not pollical. That's all I can tell you. That's all there is to know about cats, really. I think there's a guy ringing the bell out there trying to sell me some ice cream. Maybe I'll reach my hand out the window and get some. He's wearing a mask. That's cool. I challenge you all to be real Americans, to be real folks of your country where you reside, to be nationalists, to be people who take pride in your civilization, in your nation. I challenge you to wear a mask. Because we can do that. See, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to actually do leadership now instead of criticizing people. I'm going to do leaderships. I'm going to sail the leadership. You guys, we could do this. We could beat this thing. All it takes is teamwork. If we join together, we link arms figuratively. If we touch Idris elbows end to end across this nation and we cover our masks with our face, strike that, reverse it. If we do this together, if we do this as one, but individually, separately, we can overcome this virus sooner than later. Right now, we're meeting a challenge. Right now, the world is watching us in America. They're saying they can't handle this. Those Americans, they can't do this. They don't know how to pandemic. But you know what? We do. Because in times like this, Americans stream Hamilton on Disney Plus and get inspired by the founding fathers who may have or may not have owned slaves, but they were working on it. They're very clear to say in the movie, in the musical turned movie Hamilton. They're very clear to say, we're working on the slavery thing, by the way. Yeah, we know there's slavery, okay, but we're writing essays about it. Okay? We're gonna get rid of that in maybe like another 80 years. It took a while. Things take time, but we can join together. We can get through this. We can do this. I know you can. I believe in you. I call upon you to wear something over your mouth and your nose. I know that it's hard. I know that it's a struggle. I know that it's difficult to put cloth over half of your face. But you're strong and I believe in you. I know that you would like to high-five your friends. But, you know, you could just go like this from far away. Thank you. I wanted to talk about the format of the movie musical in these remaining minutes. I wanted to talk about the format. What do you think about the translation of the format of the musical Hamilton, just straight from the stage musical to film? I prefer it. I actually like it. It feels as if you're seated in the theater watching the musical. However, things have happened in the past, like The Producers, which was originally a movie by Mel Brooks in the 1970 or thereabouts. And that movie has musical numbers in it, and then Mel Brooks turned that into a musical, which was like a hit in the 90s. The Producers was the biggest musical, and then it was Book of Mormon, and now it's Hamilton. Maybe with a few other things sprinkled in there, like Hairspray and whatnot. But you've got, or I'm moving out. You know, if you're a pop musician, it is so smart of you. If you're Elton John, if you're Billy Joel, you're like, I've got like 25 years of hit songs. Why don't I just string them together in a loose narrative? Because everybody already likes these songs, and then make $1 billion. Because musicals make $1 billion if it's any good. Musicals on Broadway, through their run, they earn you $1 billion. If you make a Hamilton, you got $1 billion in your back pocket that you could sit on. But don't slip or fall off, because you will die from the fall. But I prefer the direct translation from the stage to the screen of a thing like Hamilton, because I think as soon as they start fudging with trying to cinematically interpret it after it's already been so realized in a format called the stage musical, after it's been realized in that format, you have to reinterpret it for the film. That is its native form, is the stage. And musicals, in my opinion, generally are terrible. So when you have a thing that has good music, like hip-hop, modern-day music, and people of color that look like the actual mosaic of the United States, when you have something like that, it's pretty cool to see it in its native form. I don't want to see people trying to reinterpret it like they did with The Producers, which was a movie, and then it was a musical, and then they took the actors from the musical and then directly translated it, but filmed it like a movie, and it just wasn't good. It just lost it just doesn't have that feeling of the audience. So when you hear the audience clapping during Hamilton, when you hear the audience reaction, there is more of a live feeling, a live vibe, and that's what it's built for. So I think it's some ways you can interpret it for the screen. I think Little Shop of Horrors was a good interpretation. But sometimes, sometimes you get The Producers. Lin-Manuel Miranda, man, he's going to make $1 billion. How has Sting not done this? Oh, Sting's probably working. Kelly, Sting's working on it. Sting's like, every breath you take, okay, it's about a stalker. I'm going to make a whole musical about a stalker. Mel Brooks is The Producers. Yeah, Mel Brooks is The Producers is a movie, but it's because Mel Brooks did the book and the score for the musical play. He's kind of a genius. He wrote the music and the words for the producers. Musical, and then then the director of the play, she directed the movie producers. Oh, you love that movie? Are you talking about the old producers? You're probably talking about the one from the 70s. That's a great one. The original producers is great, but then it was turned into a stage musical for Broadway, and then that Broadway show was put into a movie like 15 years ago, and it wasn't that good. It was, oh, you like both? Okay. Sorry. I thought it was bad. I thought it just lacked energy. The 2000 version of the Jesus Christ Superstar was filmed on stage version. It was my favorite version. Yeah, I remember watching the Pirates of Penzance that way. I'd seen it. My brother was in that play, that musical in high school, and then I'd seen the PBS version where they did the Pirates of Penzance. And like, I do like Guys and Dolls with Marlon Brando. Pretty good. Sky Masterson. Luck be a lady tonight. Captain America in Little Shop of Horrors. Wait, Captain America is in Little Shop of Horrors? I don't know what you mean by that, Killeen. I assume you mean Chris Evans is in the Little Shop of Horrors. I didn't research the new Little Shop of Horrors that much. Yes. Yeah, Jesus Christ Superstar. I remember that one too. Hair. It's how I just... The History of the World, Part 1, is a good... It's good to be the king. That's all I got to say about that movie. Mel Brooks, The Inquisition. What a show. That's how I feel sometimes when I'm watching all this white supremacy stuff going on in America. I'm just like, The Inquisition. What a show. We're watching the president. You know, I'm going to close here on Instagram with, I was talking to my friend who's watching, they were talking about their friend, and they were saying their friend was watching Hamilton feeling gross, that they were feeling like they were appropriating someone's culture by watching it, or feeling like white America watching Hamilton is kind of like, this is my interpretation, is that white America enjoying Hamilton is kind of that this person was feeling gross because they were like, wait a minute, I don't feel right watching this. But I'm like thinking, I kind of see what you're saying, that you're like enjoying, but I think we got to get rid of this concept that there's like different Americas. And that's what I think Hamilton is really working on. That there are different Americas, that there are different cultures. This is part of American culture. Hip-hop is uniquely American. Lin-Manuel Miranda comes from Puerto Rico. He's American. The story that he tells is uniquely American in that it is the creation of this country and its ideals. We got 2 minutes. We got 1 minute and 15 left here on Instagram. So I just want to say that we have to really say we can enjoy American stuff if you're American. You can't be like, I don't know, I don't feel like, oh, that's different. I feel like I'm culturally appropriating. No, we have to understand that this is an aspect of American culture that we can all enjoy. We can all enjoy hip-hop and the people that are purveying the ideas of America and the ideals of America, and see America in a different light when it's performed by people of color talking about the founding fathers. Because I think a lot of times in people's minds, they just go, America, if you're the president of the United States, you're like, America is for white people. Like if you are Trump, that's literally what he's saying right now. He's saying Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, and that they are bad, evil people. These are things he said, guys, on Instagram. If you want to continue watching, go over to AristotleFullThrottle.com on Instagram. Otherwise, Instagram, I'll see you tomorrow. I find that hilarious that he I'm gonna post this. That's not what I want to do. You know, it's interesting that the president is all for the white supremacy, you know? Because I think that's his Hail Mary. He's like, I really have nothing left. I've got no scruples. So let's just do the friggin', let's go full on white supremacy on this one. Let's just really appeal to that fanatical base. Because, you know what? That's gonna maybe get me some love and attention that I need, because I'm Donald Trump and I need constant admiration because I have malignant narcissism and it's a personality flaw and defect and will never change. So when people are like, give him a chance, how do you know what he's thinking? I'm like, there's no, it doesn't matter what he's thinking or not thinking. He has a personality disorder. He is going to behave in a certain way. I don't care what you might think he might do. He's not going to do anything that strays from wanting just constant affection from doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who. I've been getting calls on my phone randomly from potential spam, it always says. And I'm hoping that they call me during the show sometime so that I can actually go over the phone call with you, because I spent 25 minutes on the phone, 27 minutes on the phone yesterday talking to someone who said they were from Citibank. I'm calling from Citibank and I'm looking for Elma. And I was like, I don't know no Elma. You got the wrong number. And they didn't hang up. So I stayed on the line and I was like, are you still there? And they're like, yeah, we are still here. Is Elma there? And I'm like, this is not Elma. I am not Elma. No Elma lives here. You have the wrong number. Take my number off your list. And then they were quiet for a couple minutes. And I was like, are you still there? And they're like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm like, why are you still here? Is it because you're lonely? Because if you're lonely, I can talk to you. We can be friends. We're all trying to live through this pandemic. We're all trying to understand what's going on here. I understand that maybe this is your only job. Maybe you're getting paid by the hour. Maybe your manager is telling you to stick to a script. I know you're trying to scam me because you're not really from Citibank. If you were, you wouldn't be calling me Elma and you wouldn't be on the phone right now. So I talked to this guy for 27 minutes yesterday. And every minute or so I was like, so there's no Elma here. You're barking up the wrong tree. I went as far as to say, Elma has been dead for 20 years. Ooh, someone's got their MacBook Air is on my network, showing up in my AirDrop. Should I drop them a picture? Should I drop them a picture with zero context? Maybe a picture of Spock or something? I could totally AirDrop someone something right now. That's hilarious. I'm going to just close that. Guys, what do you think about that? What do you think about scammers right now? There's some really funny scammer videos I've been watching on YouTube where people will catch a scammer in their scam and then tell them, they'll be like, I know that your name is XYZ and that you're calling me from this place right now. Yeah. I'm posting this now. Movies, hashtag movies. Hashtag movie review. In New York, you could be a new man. Well, I hope you guys join me tomorrow where we talk some more. Ange, it's been a pleasure seeing you here today. I'm not sure how many people are on YouTube right now, but it's Monday. You guys had a long weekend. You had some 4th of July celebrations at home safely, or maybe around 2 other people. Try not to spread the virus. Only spread love and affection. But like words of affection, because you can't spread too much affection right now. You're going to catch a disease called COVID-20. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm going to turn up this music. We're going to go out to a drum machine. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. I challenge you to a dance-off. You're bro in the know with the fro.